now. So now we just wait to see who shows up because nobody's here yet. Um, but as I'm waiting there, I'll take a peek at myself to talk about what I'm going to talk about tonight. And so let me see here as I look at this. It's actually going to, yeah, this is a good thing we decided to do this one. And he's here. I mean, again, I'm not going to try to read, I'm obviously not going to try to read every single comic here, but I wanted to look at that just kind of seated there. Just see if anybody. Oh, yeah. Hey, Dave. Sorry, I was just doing a little pre-search there. Okay. Evening, Mike. Hey, Dave. Hey, we have three people in here now. Okay. Um, how you guys doing tonight? I was just doing some pre-search. Um, I don't know if the people in here were in here last night, but I'm gonna kind of be continuing what I did last night. Just this time, just going into a few more like story structure and stuff like that. So I'll explain it for everybody once we see if we get a few more people in here. Hey, Dave, how are you doing? Missed you last night. I think if you dropped by, you would have probably liked what we were doing because actually looking back at the golden age of comics, believe it or not, back in the years of 1933 to 35, we're taking a look at some of that stuff. So, anyways, I'm just mm, I'm just, as I said, just kind of doing some pre-search here, guys. So, um, thanks for the likes. Oh wow, somebody left. um, yeah. So, at least according to the YouTube site. Uh, I'm buffering hard, um, but I'm doing well. I probably won't be able to show up as often. Second job means less free time. Well, that kind of sucks, but I guess I understand. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to make your money, make sure you get your bills paid. But I do hope you try to make it as often as you can. Um, like you came tonight, so that's good because I got something I'm going to be doing tonight. That's a little. Um, admittedly, I should probably be asleep right now. Yeah. Excuse me a sec, Dave. Sorry. Sorry about that. My dad called me, so I had to go see what he needed. So let's see. Let's see. Still, there's only two of us. Always seems to start out that way with just two of us, and people come in slowly but surely. Yeah, I should be ready to go. Let's see. Oh, so somebody came in and gave me another like, so that was cool. Hopefully, we can get some more people in here. Um, 9. So we're almost at the 10 minute. So since you weren't here last night, Dave, I'll kind of let you know what we did last night, because what I did last night gonna kind of continue today. I know I already mentioned it a little bit here, but what I did was I went back. Since I couldn't find really any news stories to talk about yesterday, I decided to go back and look at some of the early comic book history, back to like all the way back to like 1933. 1933 to 35. Um, was showing some of the guys, like some of the stuff, some of my resources that I use, to look up like synopses of stories and stuff like that. There were some interesting things that we found out. You know, um, like I know a lot of people, when you say the word comic book, they tend to, the first thing that usually comes to mind is superheroes, right? But actually, some of the early comic books, first off, the first superhero technically didn't even debut until January 1935. Doctor Occult in New Fun #1. Um, I know a lot of people think it was Superman, but that's not necessarily the case. They had a number of different story ideas. I'm going to actually go into that a little bit more tonight too, looking at story structure and the like, um, of some of the stories. Excuse me a moment. I'm going to be reading off some synopses of some stories that happened back in those days that they were writing, and just giving a little bit more commentary. Oh, looks like we have a hello, third person. How are you doing today? Hope all is well. Hope your day went well today. Um, yeah. So basically, as I was saying though, Dave, we're as I said, I kind of went back to some of the very early days of comics, and was talking about some of that. Like how many of the comics were anthology. Like some of the very first comics in like 33 and 34 were really more collections of newspaper comic strips. Many of the popular strips of the time, including Joe Palooka, Bungle Family, Dixie Dugan, Jane Arden, Ben Webster. So I'd argue that the earliest superheroes are Greek gods and stuff, legends. Well, I guess in a chronological, yeah, I would say in a chronological sense, you're probably right. I mean, you could even take it even further back in time with Gilgamesh. Okay, if you really wanna do that, but what we're of course talking about is the first published comic book superhero. Yeah, chronologically, you're probably right. It's probably more. I just I and we had such a good time talking about that stuff last night, that when I got up this morning, I was still thinking that I wanted to delve into it a little bit deeper, thinking about how we look at escapism and how escapism has changed over time. Like when you look at what they're trying to put into comics now as compared to back then, it's kind of a, if anything, it'd be a nice um, respite. Beowulf could swim real good. Yeah, yeah. It might be interesting to see how Beowulf would do against Aquaman, though, right? Aquaman or a Submariner, wouldn't that be an interesting three-way race to watch? Let's see now. So let's see. We're coming up on 15 minutes. We'll probably wait a few more minutes, maybe a 20-minute mark, see if we get some more people in here, and then I'll kind of dive into what I'm going to be talking about tonight. So, excuse me a moment though. Oh, we have 5 people in here now. Yeah. Hey, Action Toy Channel, ATC. Hey, what's up, man? Laugh out loud, Sub Zero. Could beat them all. Lurking there, ATC. Uh, Back down to 3 people now. Um, yeah, ATC. I was just explaining to Dave, what I was talking about last night. I'm actually going to kind of go back to that a little bit, but this time looking more at like some of the story structures. Looking over some stuff and just trying to show more of that. Yeah, I've been lurking. Uh, yeah, so hopefully we can get at least a couple more people in here. This stuff was real interesting. I woke up this morning. I was still so excited, from last night. And I, figured I wanted to dive into what we were talking about a little bit more. Looking at the stories themselves and what was written of the time. Um, Excuse me again. Hmm. Oh, yeah. I've been searching, but you never see me. Let's see. So, how'd your day go, ATC? Anything exciting happen for you today? Okay, on up on 18 minutes here. I guess that's a no. I guess nothing exciting was happening ATC's day today. uh, Check something here. Oh, it looks like you did say something here. Okay, here's see what you said here. No, I slept till 3:30 p.m. My diabetes is under control, but I'm having other issues. Wow, if you're sleeping till 3:30 in the afternoon, yeah, you must be having issues. You must not be getting good sleep or something like that. Obviously, sounds like something's going on there. Hmm. My internet timed out. Hey, action. Oh, so you disappeared on us there, Dave? So we got 4 people in here now. Good. See, we're just over the 19-minute mark, so I'll probably just go. Oh, go. I'll probably, once we hit the 20-minute mark, I'll probably go in with a bit more of an official announcement as to what we're doing for tonight. Okay, so 5, 4. Three, two, one. Okay. 20 minutes. So we got four people in here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Okay. So I know ATC was here yesterday. I don't know if the other Dave wasn't. Don't know if the fourth person was or not. But basically, what we did yesterday, we talked a little bit about, kind of going back to the very early days of comic books, back to like 1933 to 35. I kind of showed you guys some of the covers, read off some synopses, of you know, just kind of stuff. Some of the stuff that we talked about, of course, is how inexpensive comics were. They were only 10 cents back then. Um, so when I got up this morning, I was so excited about that. I want to delve into the stories a little bit more. Want to actually show you some of the comics, the way they looked back then. Um, Also, I'm gonna probably read. So I may read some comics. I may read some synopses, a little bit, a little mix of the two, to kind of give you an idea of what it was like back then. Um, I'm not gonna read an entire comic book, obviously. That take too long. But I'm gonna read some synopses of specific stories, because one of the things that, as I pointed out yesterday, they wrote more serially back then, as opposed to, um like, instead of writing. Okay, so as I showed some of you yesterday, back in, 33 to 35, as comic books were getting started, you'd have a 64-page comic book in which they'd have like 20 to 30 stories, one page each. Whereas nowadays you have one or two stories where it may be, out of the, I don't know, out of the 32 pages, you may get like 25 to 27 of that of story there. Um, so yeah, so just as we look back over the history a bit, I just figured, I'd be, I wanted to kind of show you how that, I'll read some of the synopses to kind of show you the kind of the serial writing that they did back then, and just some of the differentiation of types of stories too, because that played into it. Also, going to show you a comic, maybe even show you like a comic and just kind of breeze through it, show you like what the art looked like back then. Maybe I'll read the actual story. So anyway, so let's see, Dave. I know Dave and Woody. I saw that my internet time. Okay, we saw that already. Hanging around off and on, listening. Hey, Woody. Howdy, Woody. Yeah. So, well, Woody, you might be interested in this, because I kind of wish you were here last night, but we were, we were talking a bit. We're going back in time a bit to, talking about the early days of comics. So, anyways, now that I kind of got all that out of the way there in terms of saying it, let me go to the first thing I'm going to show you here. Now, some of you remember seeing this on the other side. I did, wanted to pull this up to actually show you the actual what the actual comic looked like. And I may read read one or two of the stories, to just so you can actually, can see how it was written, how they told the story, how they wrote the stories and stuff like that. So, I'm just gonna go ahead to famous funnies. Now famous fun. This is famous funnies number one. Famous funnies was basically a comic that was published by Eastern Color.
Eastern Color was actually officially the first comic book publisher. It actually, or as they called them back then, comic magazines. Um, and a lot of these were reprints of newspaper strips. Comics were originally, done in newspapers as strips, you know, um, as newspaper strips. So famous funnies, 100 games and puzzles, number one, 10. And yes, look right here. Look right here as I'm pointing that out to you guys. Um, 10 cents. Back in 1934 here, you get comics for, look at this gag, right? Look at this gag right here. Guy swinging a golf club and swings so hard that he actually breaks it over his head. Awk. And you see down here, these are some of the stories that are featured in here. Tunaville folks, Mutt and Jeff was a very popular comic strip of the time. Um, Hairbreath Harry, Smatter Pop, Nipper, Dixie Dugan. As I explained, Dixie Dugan was kind of a Hollywood starlet. I believe Connie's another variation of that as well. The two of them were like kind of Hollywood showgirls or something like that. The Bungle family, which is kind of a Bungle family. I would say think of The Simpsons, just more slapstick involved. Dan Webster, from what I've seen when I was looking over his stories, more of a storyteller type. Tailspin Tommy is kind of pilot adventurer. And one of the things I talked a bit about yesterday was how back during the golden age, you had a lot of different types of adventures, including like a pilot, had some sailors, pilots, detectives. Let's see, would bazooka bubblegum wrappers count as a comic book if you saved enough of them? I don't know. I think those might be considered more like comic strips and comic books, but that just goes showing. Um, I think Pam's also another, like Pam, Connie, and Dixie Dugan are. I think these are like comics about like um these strips are basically following the lives of Hollywood, like Showgirls, The Nebs, Highlights of History, Amaze a Minute, Screen Oddities. So I'm gonna try to breeze through this. I may stop and read one or two of the actual stories just to kind of give you an idea of how they were written and in terms of like how they communicated, word usage, slang terms. Like one of the things we talked a bit about when I was pointing out how Joe Palooka was another popular comic strip back. He was a boxer, and how Palooka was a slang term, from the 50s there. Let's see. I already got that comment from Dave. We're back up to 4 people, so that's cool. Um, oh, let's see. Here's like Tunaville folks. I'm just gonna try to breeze through these a bit, because I know I'm running. Even though I think most of these are probably considered public domain, anyways. Um, Amaze a Minute, Scientific Facts, by Arnold, and comics back in these days too had these parts in it too. Aside from having stories, they'd have other stuff like games or little educational stuff like this, little scientific articles. They'd have full text articles on certain things. little brother, the Bungle family here. I'm not even gonna try to read that because like look at how faded. Like obviously when these things when some of these older comics get scanned, that it's kind of that it's kind of faded a bit here. Maybe I'll try to read the Bungle family because I just reason I want to read some of these is because I just in terms of language usage, in terms of how they, of course, would communicate with each other and using language. That's the commentary I want to go with here. So let's see if I how see how much of this I can. Okay. Okay. What's it, Joe? Okay, so this is from the Bungle Band. What's it, Joe? Did you call me? Um, George, didn't you hear the? Yeah, I'll just try. I'll just try another comic just because scanning effect here just it's a little too faded there. Tailspin Tommy, which of course is kind of the again this is a kind of a pilot adventure, progress of flight, um, early birds. Let's look at the artwork here. See, somebody's stenog. Let's see, the backseat driver. So you look here, you see that they're racing down the road, racing down a hill. What caused that? It it makes no difference, dear. Just just 50s. We uh just shows we land in a mess in the last picture. Okay, so the backseat driver strip here was obviously kind of a gag comic. In other words, the whole thing revolved around resulting in a particular gag. As he says here, it makes no difference, just as long as we end up in a mess in the last picture. You know, kind of that's what the way gags would work. You know, um, so hairbreadth Harry, high gear Homer. So let's see if I can read some of this. Yeah, that's still pretty faded. I think I'm just going to Good Deed Doty, which I believe is so. I think Good Deed Doty was about this little girl right here, Doty, who went around doing good deeds for people. I guess. Um, let's see. So the guy's playing another gag strip here. I'm guessing. Um, guy's playing his horn there. No response. Well, I'll try just once more. Um, the the poor guy. Nobody, nobody appreciates his music. And you see her clapping there. Ah, that's that for today. Good. um. So yeah. So this little This little gag strip right here, Good Deed Dodie, is about her going around, you know, trying to do good deeds for people. In this case, she was trying to make the guy feel better. Fourth wall break. Yep. Dick, oh, oops. Dixie Dugan, as I read up on her a little bit, she was kind of a Hollywood star, Hollywood showgirl. It would follow her. I guess these comics would follow her adventures of trying to become a showgirl there. You know, why, Pa? Why don't you use that new chair we bought you for Christmas? Hmm, I su- I suppose I ought to. It cost me enough. See how realistic realistic that the grammar is right there. Because there are some people who never would say word suppose. Sometimes it just come out as suppose or suppose. You know, um, kind of interesting. Now think about this, dude. This is back in the 19. Okay, I have to sleep. Be excellent to each other. Hey, Dave, I'm sorry you couldn't hang around a little longer, but yeah, go get some sleep if you need it. Hopefully next time you're on, stick around a little longer there. Um, for the rest of you, I'm gonna go ahead and continue reading some of this. Uh, him, Sammy, you get right out of there. That's Pa's chair. I'll leave him be. Hey, out with you. And I just want to read this off to like look at the syntax, look at word usage and grammar and all that. Obviously comics are more meant to be somewhat of a reflection of real people. Obviously, really these ones, but um, I never did get the feel. Oh, that chair. Anyway, um, maybe it's like a horse has to be broke in. Why, Pa, it's the most comfortable chair in the world. Now, now, granted, I'm no voice actor or anything like that, but I'm just reading it and trying to provide at least some intonation there. But could you imagine like Michael Landon and Melissa Gilbert having this conversation? Like, you know, um, Michael Landon is Pa Dugan right there, and Melissa Gilbert is Dixie Dugan. If they were to actually animate this and make this a cartoon. Now, granted, Dixie Dugan know, was a classic, as a what originally came from newspaper strips, so you'd see her every day. Um, See, you can sit in it this way or this way. Now, look at this. Now, obviously, this is not, look at this particular right here. Some people might argue that could be considered a suggestive pose right there. Maybe mildly, suggestive, but and I'm not going SJW. I actually, I think it's pretty cool, but because this is reflect, and remember, this is a reflection of the times. Think about it. This is in the midst of the Great Depression. You're getting a look at how people view life around them. Now, Dixie Dugan, I think, looks like she's kind of one of those who's a little bit better off. She's going out pursuing a dream of being a Hollywood showgirl. So, um, eh, let's see. Oh, yeah, we looked at here. Or press this button and and um and a footrest slides up. You know, or press this one and you can adjust the back um any which way. There. See how suddenly is how sud- how snoozy it. Okay, there. See how snoozy it is. Ah, King. Oh, ah, King. King couldn't buy. King couldn't buy anything. Um, more comfy. Just try this for relaxing. Oh, pa. Oh, pa. Telephone. All right, I'll answer. Whew. These long-winded conversations. Guess I'll take. Guess I'll take Dixie's suggestion and try some relaxing in that chair of mine. And look at this. She's doing such a good job of selling him on the chair that she falls asleep in it. Oh boy. Look at that. Yeah, see how that all works out, and it looks like another person dropped out on me. I know I just got probably gone a little long there, but you know, let's continue. You know, so here's some more picks for anybody who wants to look at them. Some of the more strips here. Got Mutton Jeff here. Mutton Jeff in the air chase. Um, there's Pam. Pam's another one like Dixie Dugan, I believe, who kind of a Hollywood showgirl. And then here's Donald Dare, the demon reporter. But anyway, I'm just gonna start going through these simple, just so you can look at the artwork here, the nebs. Matter Pop, Ripper, I'll just Connie. I did say I'd just read some of the Ben Webster's Page by Edwin Alger. Oh yeah, and then of course he just had the repeat of a bunch of stories there. So now, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and head over to this site. I'll start reading through some synopses. Let's see. Excuse me a moment. Why? go off screen here. Yeah, well, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through some synopses. I'm going to read through some stories. Um, these are just kind of synopses to, again, just want to give you guys an idea of the writing structure and how how they would tell stories through it. So we'll look at first at this from new starting from new fun number one. Jack Woods, and I read this particular synopsis um, yesterday, but I'm gonna read it again and then continue to read the story. Um, so it's one page. It was a cover feature. This is the first DC comic. A lot of the stories were in black and white. This one was the cover feature. So Jack Woods visits the Rio Grande and witnesses a nighttime cattle drive led by ranch owner Don Nogales and his farmhand Miguel. Jack is escorted back to the Nogales ranch at gunpoint, and they kind of leave it at that to continue to. Now, right here, this is how we go to the next one there. Again, and this is used as the cover feature again. Again, one page versus Pancho Villa Part 2. Now, what I'm going to tell you is, as I previewed this Pancho Villa story ran for 17 parts. I think it did end up becoming a 2-page story, but it started out, of course, as a 1-page story. Um, so, um, so here's again the synopsis. Don Nogales calls off the attack on Jack and hires him to work the ranch. Jack discovers that the Nogales brand is being used on cattle stolen from the G Bar. Nogales plans to murder Jack, and leaving it as another cliffhanger. Very serial type writing here. Um, and then here we have Verse Pancho Villa Part 3, which was reprinted in Big Book of Fun Comics, number 1, 1935. I think that one came out in October of 35. So this is new from New Fun number 3. Approximate on sale date March 8th, 1935. Cover date April of 1935. So in this case, you had the feature character Jack Woods, Dolores, Don Nogales' daughter. Again, this is kind of obviously kind of a cowboy western type adventure story, adventure type series. Don Nogales, Don Pedro, and Don Pedro. So now Don is, I think, a like Hispanic title for like the head of a ranchero. So Don Nogales is a rancher, and then Don Pedro here, full name Don Pedro de Roganza, um, the governor. So Don is like kind of a title, kind of like in the mafioso when they talk about the Dons. Yeah, I think it's heavily used in um, here as well. Wow, people. I guess people must have felt real tired tonight, but I'll continue on anyways. Jack is invited to dinner by Don Nogales. Governor Don Pedro de Roganza attends and takes an interest in Nogales' daughter, Dolores. Jack defends her honor. The governor has him arrested and put in front of a firing squad. And the story continues in New Fun 4. So think about this. This is one of those stories that people in the 30s were reading. It's a Western type story. Um, so yeah, Jack faces a firing squad before the governor can carry out the execution. Pancho Villa attacks, um, takes cover, and helps defend the ranch house. Surrounded, Jack volunteers to try to get through the enemy lines to get help. Okay, yeah, I think I figured out what I'm gonna do here with this. Then instead of trying to read the entire story to get the point across. Wow, where did everybody go? That kind of sucks that a lot of them dropped out. Um, I'll continue. I'll continue. I'll continue reading this. Anyways, I'll just read the first. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll just read like the first four parts, and that way. Now here's of course Sandra. Sandra of the Secret Service. Sandra McLean, the main character here, about a female Secret Service agent, and this is the Gavonia affair. Um, the story is printed in black and white and was not originally titled. Um, Sandra is carjacked by a gun wielding, well dressed man. He is being followed by another car who shoot at Sandra's car. After the man is dropped off, Sandra returns home and is met by a gentleman caller. And as we continue in New Fun number two, the story is printed in black and white. Um, and as I mentioned to you guys yesterday too, the again a lot of these were starting out as one page stories here. Um, Sandra and her caller are confronted by a bearded spy. After disarming him, the caller explains that the carjacker was Lothar, a government agent sent to destroy the plans for a death ray constructed by the country of Gavonia. While Sandra is talking, the spy escapes. So, so yeah. So this story, of course, is a bit more about a Secret Service agent. Sandra boards a ship headed to Gavonia. While boarding, she spots the bearded spy. The night That night, the spy tries to kill her in her cabin, and Sandra is waiting for him. And I'm reading out the synopsis to kind of give you an idea of the types of stories that they're basically writing here. So Sandra is caught by two Gavonian conspirators in her cabin. Um, when the ship reaches shore, the crooks smuggle her off the ship, rolled in a carpet. So again, some more of the this one's more kind of a spy type story. Sandra's a Secret Service agent, so you have a Western, Secret Service agent. Um, oh, people left me. uh, Not even ATC stuck around to lurk. They didn't even say bye or anything. They just left. That sucks. Ah, I would have thought this would have been interesting. Well, it is interesting to me, just but guess not to them. But well, maybe I'll sit back and wait to see if I know Dave said he had to get some sleep, but let's see. Oh, we're coming up on an hour now. Now let's see. It looks like, um, well, just in case people want to come in and still see this, anyways, maybe I'll just continue. I'll just continue anyways, and hopefully when people come back in. Now here is kind of an international Playboy one, Barry O'Neill, um, Bangao, China. So I'll read the first few synopses here to kind of give you guys idea. So Barry O'Neill is a feature character, Inspector Legrand, officer with the French secret police, sporting character. Feng Gao is a leader of a Chinese gang. Fu Yak, an assassin, and then an emissary of Feng Gao, Ivan. The story, of course, printed black and white. Legrand's name is spelled, as one word in the story. Went through all this yesterday, of course. Barry O'Neill meets with the chief of the French secret police concerning the Chinese gang leader Feng Gao. The arch villain hires the assassin Fu Yak to kill Barry. After missing Barry with a car bomb, Fu Yak attacks Barry in his hotel room with a knife. And continuing the story, of course, in New Fun number 2. Of course, a redrawn version of this story was published in Atomic Comics number 1. So here's the continuation, of course, of the story. Barry survives the assassination attempt in his hotel room. He then calls Legrand, who has followed the killer to the river. Barry and Legrand chase Fuyak and his accomplice in the boat till it catches fire. And again, these are, of course, one-page stories here. They start out one page. Um, Barry and Legrand have jumped the burning boat into the river. They are picked up by Fang Gao, who holds them at gunpoint. Barry overpowers the men just before the arrival of. Let's see. Yeah, I'm still the only one in here. All right, I get it. So okay. All right, so I guess. All right, looks like everybody just took off on me. Hmm. All right, well, I guess what I'll do then, since basically they all left, I'll do this day in each history, just for those who may want to come back and if they do end up coming in trying to watch, want to look some stuff up. I was hoping everybody would have stuck around, to learn a little bit more about some of the different types of stories that were written back then. But I guess I know some people were feeling sleepy or whatever, um, but I hope you guys will come back tomorrow night. So what I'm gonna do here, because we're just about coming up on the hour mark here, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this day in each history, even though I'm the only one here. For those who might want to catch this day in each history, um, who might want to watch through the video and then catch this day in each history, you can. Um, so, anyways, so today being So today being October 15th, 2020, let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. I guess so. And then 2000. Okay, so we're ready. Yeah. So okay. So first thing we're gonna look at, so um, on this date 20 years ago today, um, on this date 20 years ago today, um, the NWA held its 52nd and 52nd anniversary show from the Tennessee State Fairgrounds in Nashville, Tennessee. It was actually day two showcase of the stars of their 52nd anniversary show. The 2 day event went through the 14th and the 15th and we're going to look at the 15th, of course. So on this date, day two of the NWA 52nd anniversary show took place at the Tennessee Fairgrounds in Nashville, Tennessee. In the main event of the night, um, saw Jason Rumble beat Bo Douglas for the NWA New England Heavyweight Championship. Also on the card, Jimmy Angel and Paul Atlas beat Brandon Kay and Big Papa Gator for the NWA East Tag Team Championship. NWA East, based out of Pittsburgh. Also, um, the Maniacal Crew of Brother Love and Joey Venture, not the Brother Love from the WWE, um, beat the New Texas Outlaws, Ricky Murdoch and Austin Rhodes for the NWA Southern Tag Team Championship. Um, Note there, Ricky Murdoch. That's the same guy who in the WWE was known as Trevor Murdoch. So, um, I believe. So you had a hardcore match. You had a fatal four-way for the NWA New York Heavyweight Championship, in which Magic retained his title against Biggie Biggs, Eric Creed, and Zeeg. So, and then you had Nate Matson defeat Rico Rodriguez for the NWA Great Lakes Junior Heavyweight. Now, these anniversary shows were like kind of super cards, um, or super cards that people did. So on this date in 2015, um, NWA held day two of their anniversary show event, 52nd anniversary show event. So now we're going to um, now 2000 was just so nice that we have to hit it twice. So so on this date in 2000, uh, PB and J Otter would be canceled would finish its run on Playhouse Disney on this day 20 years ago today. Aside from, of course, the second day two night two of the NWA anniversary show, PBJ and Otter would basically be canceled and would have its last show on Playhouse Disney. Um, so So anyway, so now as we move ahead to move ahead now to 2010, 10 years ago today. Um, Princess Princess Jellyfish, known in Japan as um, Karagehime, would make its debut in Japan on Fuji TV. On this date in 2010, 10 years ago, Princess Jellyfish, known in Japan as Karagehime, would make its debut on Fuji TV. Um, let's see. Archie Jumbo Comics Digest 255. Okay. Kind of like okay. Now, on this date 6 years ago, 2014, Archie Comics would release um, Archie Jumbo Comics Digest number 255. This, of course, was part of the Archie Double Digest series. For this one issue, they called it Jumbo Comic Digest. Um, so on this date 6 years ago today, Archie's Jumbo Comics Digest number 255 went on sale on this date in 2005. So, and just to let everybody know, you know, tomorrow night's the forum. I'm still waiting to hear back on guests, but if I can't get them, then I'll open up the studio for anybody who wants to join me in the studio. We can talk about all kinds of stuff, Um, but I guess since everybody else has left already, I shall bid you all adieu, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night, hopefully. Bye.